Live from New York. It's a show that's really having a hard time with it. I'll be honest with you. You know,
with what?
When you were right about so many things, you know, you got your upset alerts right, you called the finals, you called the World Series right, you handled it with grace.
Right.
You walked a fine line of obnoxiousness, but it turns out you were right about the Chiefs. And here I am, right all along about the Denver Nuggets, and it's really tough. It's I'm like, am I doing this too much? So, first things first, I'm wrestling with it. I loved it. Brew, did Denver look unbeatable?
I like it. I like Michael Malone with that. Look, I think Denver's the best team in the league. Obviously, I think Jokic is the best player in the league, and I think they should be favored to win the championship. But did they look unbeatable to the point where, you know, Boston should be demoralized, like, we can't beat this team? No. The fact of the matter is, Boston was down 2 with 45 seconds left.
Then what happened?
Your best player is wide open for the easiest 3 in the league, the corner 3, and he just misses.
Yeah. You thought that was going in when that left his hand?
No, I didn't, but I'm just saying. But also, on top of that, we know Jason Tatum didn't have a great game overall. 15 points, 5 for 13 from the floor. They didn't shoot well from the foul line, right? They shot 64%, and they are a top 6 free throw team. They're like 81% from the line. So that was an aberration. Jaylen Brown was great, but didn't shoot well from the line. He shot 50%. That was an aberration. And overall, they shot poorly from three-point land, which they live and die by the three.
There we go.
But they shot 29%. It is my take. But I'm just saying, my point is this. All of that went wrong for them, and they still had a chance to win. So if you're Boston, then you can rightly leave that game. I'm not talking about a moral victory, but you can say, look, we play our game. We hit our threes at our typical rate. Our best player plays close to his best game, and we can beat this team.
That last part is the part that I disagree with the most, which is Tatum and Brown combined for 56. That's about what you would hope for. So the Tatum, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, yes, Tatum
it's just
will play
not
better.
The numbers, you know what I mean? The rhythm of the game. If your best player's playing poorly,
but I'm not just. If Tatum if they had lost by a couple possessions, Tatum had that terrible game, and Brown had a typical game, I buy it more. But if the next time they were to play and Tatum plays better, Brown's probably not going for 40. But regardless, I think only Milwaukee can beat a healthy Nuggets team. And I'm not even saying, like, Milwaukee is better than healthy. I'm saying the only team that doesn't need the puncher's chance, an injury, happenstance, bad luck to beat to beat Denver is Milwaukee. And that is because Giannis can go toe-to-toe with Jokic. And if we just look at the last 3 years, which is, I think, the fairest way to do it because it's when Jokic is fully formed, here's how Giannis has, first of all, they've split all 6. Giannis it's his best field goal percentage against anybody. By the way, that's also basically his field goal percentage for this entire season. And while there is nobody that can minimize really Jokic, the size of Milwaukee and being able to put Brook on him and let basically what Darvin Ham thought the Lakers were going to be able to do, but with a far better defender than Rui and Brook, and with Anthony Davis and Giannis, who are very similar in their ability to play help side defense. Like, that to me is a pass.
I would like to see, I don't know if you have it, Jokic's numbers against Milwaukee recently.
So Josh,
do they
you
bother
can just
him?
tell me or text me in the
Because
last
that's a
3
good
years.
point. If Brook can guard him and, he's not going to stop him, but then you got Giannis floating in to help.
Will you go, Wildes? Because then I want to talk about Denver kind of historically. But
Denver historically?
Yeah, Denver and Jokic historically. But I want you to be able to do your thing because this has been your team all year.
All year?
Yes.
Wasn't it like last week that he started
doing it on
We didn't make picks.
Bro, he's been doing it on Twitter.
You don't follow me on social. I know people think it's a bit. To be 100% honest, to break the fourth wall, Brew does follow me on social. He just never reads any of it.
I know.
I've read it 100 times. That if teams come in, they play their absolute best. Maybe they can peel off a game. But even, like you said, maybe if Boston hits their threes. Well, okay, if we're going to sprinkle the 3 pixie dust across the court, the Denver Nuggets, they made 4 for 21. They kept shooting them. So 19% versus the Celtics shot 29%. I just think, watching Aaron Gordon, the ease in which he's getting baskets and the chemistry that they have together. And I know it's just a backdoor cut sometimes. If we can show like Aaron Gordon crushing players.
Well, he's in that dunker spot a lot.
And he's just anything that's going up, he's putting it in. Here's this one. That's a simple one.
Yeah.
So the chemistry between Joker and Aaron Gordon, Jamal and Aaron Gordon, he's just always around, and then he has this little like fake shot.
Well, that was the game sealer, I think.
That he also
and
beat
then
the Lakers
one, this
with.
one he missed off. That was crazy.
But so this is, Brew, tell me if you agree. This is what makes Denver so different from other teams. It's similar to Boston, actually, in this regard, but Boston doesn't have a Joker. They're just, they're smartly put together.
Correct.
They don't
feel like
have
it fit.
Exactly. Everybody has a specific role. Joker's running point, literal and figurative, and kind of the maestro of the orchestra there. And it just when you have everyone that knows their role and an apex offensive player, which is what Jokic is, which is what I was going to talk about historically in a minute. That's how you can build out a consistent champion without necessarily having, we have multiple superstars or even multiple all-stars. You don't need it if everybody knows what they're supposed to do.
I'm glad you brought that up, and it's not to get in a historical discussion or anything, but the Nuggets are showing us. We've known it. I think if we look back, but I've known it. They're not a super team by any stretch of the imagination. No. Has Jamal Murray even made an All-Star game? No. He hasn't played in one All-Star game. But they are a great team.
Correct.
So when we look at teams historically, it's not always to say, they have so-and-so, they had the big three. That doesn't mean you're going to be better. If you are put together well and everybody knows their role. And when I was watching this game and Aaron Gordon doing all his great dunks and follow-ups and things like that, I was like, man, this is like great for Aaron Gordon. Because remember, when he came into the league, people thought he was going to be a star.
He was the face of the Magic.
Right. Well, but people did think he was going to be a star.
He won the slam dunk contest.
And he couldn't be in a better position because he's not a star, but he's going to be a very popular guy if they keep winning. And he obviously is an exciting player with his dunking.
So Josh got me those Jokic numbers the last 3 years. 26, 11, 11 on 50% against the Bucks. And so which is 26, 11, 11 sounds unbelievable. It's basically his averages.
Right.
Or close to it over the last 3 years. And 50% is actually, I think, a touch below his shooting average over the last 3 years. But so this is what Jokic, though, is approaching. And I know people are going to feel like this is odd coming from me, but I didn't like a lot of the Jokic stuff before he proved it out fully in the playoffs. But now that he has, we can start talking about this. All of NBA history, if they were to win the title, there's not as many guys you think have been the best player on a back-to-back champion. Mikan, Russell, then you have to go all the way to Magic, Isaiah, Jordan, Akeem, Shaq, Kobe, Bron, Steph, or Steph/KD, pick who you want. That's it. Jokic would join that group. And this is where I wanted to ask you. Offensive forces in NBA history. The best offensive players ever. This is not in order, but this is the list. Wilt, Kareem, Michael, Magic, Bird, Shaq, Steph, LeBron, and this guy.
Wow.
That has him ahead of Kobe. That has him ahead of Durant. That has him ahead of Duncan and Dream, which I think most would agree with because so much of their value was being the best defensive player in the league for a year. But I think he is a more deadly offensive player than Kobe or Durant were. Or Durant is/were and Kobe was.
They're so different. Kobe and Durant are mainly scorers.
Yes.
This guy, it hasn't caught on. He's a point center.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
He is the first point center. And you see Sabonis kind of in that role too. Şengün at times, not quite as much as these two, but still. He's a point center.
Yes.
And this is why, and Giannis is awesome. And I thought a year and a half ago, Giannis was the best player in the world. But when you watch them, you brought up everybody knows their role and everybody. It's because of him. It's because of Jokic. He's not ball dominant, but he obviously has the ball in his hands a lot, but he's passing it. Mm-hmm. He's not just dribbling. We're going to talk about Luka later. He's not just pounding the ball like a lot of the stars today. He has the ball in his hands, but he's getting rid of it. You double him. He's hitting the right pass. He can do it all. So it's hard to argue with your list.
I know I threw that list at you
and he's
on
going
the fly,
he's still young.
Well, that's the thing.
Like, who knows where this is going?
He does, and I know it's become very in vogue this week to, go watch 80s and 90s basketball as part of the Jordan-LeBron debate. People should, if they haven't, watch Larry Bird. Because when including Bird on that list, his raw numbers might not show it. But Bird he wasn't the Celtics point guard, but his ability to
he was their best passer.
Yes, his ability to orchestrate everything. And I know the white guy comps sometimes get tired, but there are a lot of similarities in his game to Bird, and he's one of the most dominant offensive players I've ever seen.
7-foot Larry Bird.
Watch Şengün too, like past and future.
Yeah,
Celtics lose back-to-back for the first time since November. Tatum for the lead here?
Yeah.
Here we go, bro. No, he knew he missed it too. Once you start shooting and hopping,
the hopping,
that means you're going to miss it. Here's Jaylen Brown, who played awesome the whole game. Take a listen. Stat line last night. First 8 minutes, not too bad. Rest of the game, 7 points, 2 for 10, 5 turnovers, ±7. Nick, what was the number one reason the Celtics lost?
Well, Denver's better, but that's not what I want to talk about here. That's why I wanted to go first. Wildes, who has the best record in basketball?
I believe the Celtics still do.
Who's their best player?
Well, Jason Tatum is.
So he's the league MVP, right?
I never said that. I said that he should not be fifth. He should not be fifth behind Luka Doncic, who just dribbles the air out of the ball, has triple doubles, and loses games.
That was not all you said.
I didn't say he's the MVP.
Wildes.
I said he should be higher than fifth.
Brew, were you here?
Did
it sound like? Hold on, Wildes. We asked you repeatedly what Brew said. It's not best player on the best team, and you said it should be.
I mean,
because.
I hate to side with Nick on this, but it did sound yesterday like you were saying best player on best team.
And he's still the best player. He's still on the best team. Do you see now why he is not anywhere in the vicinity of the league's MVP conversation? Do you see it?
He should be in the vicinity.
I would think he should be in the vicinity.
Thank you, bro.
You don't think he should be in the vicinity?
Well,
he shouldn't be in that top 5?
Well, okay, so I guess my point is, more people are going to get votes because you vote 1 through 5 than are actually in the conversation. In my opinion, right now, there are really 3 people you can make a credible case for, and a 4th in Luka if all of a sudden they win 12 of 13. Because
at this moment,
there's only 3 names in the conversation. Okay. Tatum's not one of them.
Okay, I'll Joker then. I'm just saying he shouldn't be 5th. The guy missed a shot. He didn't come up.
He's not an MVP caliber guy yet. And he likely won't be.
I like that you said yet, because obviously the reason they lost, I pointed out some of the things earlier, but it's Jason Tatum didn't play well.
That's right.
All right, and I do wonder. I'm watching that game, and I wonder, is he good enough? As much as I like him, is he good enough to be the best player on a championship team?
Only if
now I got two things. Two things. When I think about that, Nick, I say. 1, he's only 26. So he might not be good enough yet, but he could be good enough in a year or 2.
You think there's another level he can take his game?
I just think
maturity. Not, then he'll never win an MVP.
I just think maturity and, experience and, you just.
Change shot selection.
His skills might not necessarily become better, but just he'll become a smarter, more poised player.
Okay.
But secondly, and maybe this is what you were going to get at, Nick, maybe they'd have to win it like Detroit in 2004.
Yes.
Where and they are built like that.
Yes.
Where we have a bunch of really good players. Our best player is really good, but he's not like that top tier.
Or the Spurs in 14. Because while Duncan's one of the greatest players ever, Kawhi wasn't a superstar yet, and Duncan was on the downslope.
Popovich.
But Popovich different than Mazzulla, but that's exactly right. Like
maybe he'll get to that level where he can.
He's not getting there this season.
Clear.
He's not going to make a major change this season. And so, it's just, there are some in the weed stuff. Like, last night, Denver's bench really outplayed Boston's. We can show it to you. And as much as everyone loves Boston's starting 5, Boston doesn't have a great bench. That's why they traded for Tillman. I don't love Hauser or Pritchard. And Horford is, God bless him for still being, in the league. But Boston has the best starting 5, theoretically, in the league. But then it goes to vapors quickly. But
it's just a bunch of shooters.
It's just like in the last decade, the following people have been the best player on the team with the best record. Devin Booker, awesome player, not the league MVP. Donovan Mitchell, awesome player, never close league MVP. Old Tim Duncan, 2014 Spurs had the best record in the league. A legendary player was not league. And those teams are well built. They have good starting fives. They play well together. But they don't have that guy as their best guy. Now, that doesn't mean, like, Dallas does, and the Celtics are way better than Dallas. But I don't
Well, they are built like I'm not writing them off.
No.
I don't think they're going to. We'll make our picks next week. But I'm not writing them off as a chance. But they are built like that Detroit team in 04. You know, where they just got a bunch of really good players.
Or kind of like the 08 Celtics.
I know they don't want to be built like that, though.
No,
They
they
don't
think
want- they're like,
Tatum
you know,
is their guy. They think Tatum's their guy, but I think he's not quite. I mean, look, we talked a lot about his clutch numbers, and we know 32% in the clutch and all that, one of the worst in the league. But I don't think it's like the moment's too big for him because he's had big games. Just last year, Game 7 against Philly, what did he go for, 50, 51?
Yeah.
The year before that, when they go to
Game
Milwaukee,
6 against
Game
Giannis
6
was
46.
unbelievable.
So I don't think it's the moment's too big. No. I just think he's still growing. And what happens a lot is he has great playoff games, and he has some really bad playoff games.
Because he takes bad shots.
But that's what they do as a team. Oh, you're talking about the two?
I'm not talking. Yeah, I'm not talking about open threes. I'm talking about Jason Tatum. The way for Tatum to get to the next level is to take smarter shots. And Tatum's best nights, those games we're talking about, are the days that he is hitting those shots. And it's just hard when we think of the most consistent scorers in the league across all of history, basically, even Steph included. A huge part of their game has been at the rim. For Steph, it's under the rim, but Steph, when he scored 30, you know what I mean?
Totally
he was great at the basket. Obviously, Giannis, LeBron,
like
Jordan, Kobe. So much of their game is getting to the rim. And I'm not saying Tatum doesn't get to the rim, but it's a lot of settling for tough shots he can make. But that's what leads to some of these head-scratching nights.
The level of difficulty on his shots versus Joker's shots.
Yes.
Very apparent.
Well, that was
yesterday.
the thing. Yes. Like, Boston looked like they were just hanging on for dear life to stay in the game, and it was so much easier for them. Yeah. No doubt. It was
Put that in right there. Head over to Minnesota, where Anthony Edwards, most likely inspired by his appearance on the Bud list.
Was Tatum on the Bud list?
Well, you can't.
don't ruin the vibe, Nick.
Sorry, my bad.
The best. Brew, your reaction.
Well, he was on the Bud list.
Correct.
And let me say this to the people out there, to the athletes out there. This is how you respond to being on the Bud list.
That's right.
All right? You don't, the Bud list is about motivation, about inspiration. Don't get nervous. Don't get mad at me. All right? Don't get in your feelings. Go out there and be motivated.
Exactly.
I'm like that old school coach that says, if I don't yell at you, I don't believe in you.
Exactly right.
All right? If I don't put you on the Bud list, what is the catchphrase to the Bud list? I believe in you.
Exactly
So, Jason, this is how you should have responded. All right, like Anthony Edwards did. Russell Wilson was on it yesterday. This is how you respond. All right, so when you go talk with the Steelers, you just be humble. You don't talk about having your own office. You just go out there.
I didn't know it extended
Mike
to meetings.
Tomlin, I'm like a rookie now. I'm like, I had to go in there and prove myself over Matt Flynn. I'm that hungry now. That's what I want from you, Russ. This is what I want.
Got it.
Going forward, athletes, this is how you respond.
Do you get it?
I get it.
Okay.
I shouldn't have said the Tatum thing. My bad. Just Tatum didn't understand.
He didn't know.
Tatum thought
but
it
now
was
you do.
too much pressure, and instead Anthony Edwards rose to the occasion.
Literally.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.